All right, what's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here. Thank you so much for tuning in to GSD Interviews. Before we jump into this interview, I want to give our sponsors a quick plug that make this show possible. So our first sponsor is our real estate software, www.perfectstormnow.com, the most affordable and effective lead generation software out there. This isn't just a website. Yeah, we've got a website. Yeah, we've got a blog feature. Yeah, we have testimonials and video client testimonials feature. We have community pages. We have all of the typical website stuff. Where we differentiate ourselves is on the lead generation. We teach you how to lead generate. This system is extremely effective with lead generation. We can teach you how to go out there and generate more leads than you can handle without spending a penny on lead generation, right? Not only, though, do we teach you how to lead generate, not only is it a great website, it's a coaching platform combined with software. So we have two monthly live training sessions that are 2 hours long with myself personally. So we teach you how to use the site, how to generate with the site, how to leverage the site. And it goes deeper than that. Okay, I'm getting all these leads. What do I do? What do I say? How do I convert these leads? So we go and train you and coach you on every aspect of that so you can go out there and dominate it in your business. You have access to me, my developers on a daily basis as a customer of ours. So it's $99 a month, no contracts, no registration fees. It's month to month, $99 a month. You can't beat it, right? So go check us out, www.perfectstormnow.com. Our next sponsor is my Personal Mentorship. You know, if you're ready to take your business, your life, your career to the next level, we've got my 90-day mastery boot camp, which is a mentorship with me personally. Every single week, it's 3 hours or 2 hours of live coaching and training with me, and then 1 hour of live Q&A. You have daily access to me and our private mastermind. We build out your playbook, every aspect of the residential real estate business, from how to lead generate to how to lead follow-up to how to do your presentations to how to build out your database. We even start talking about how to grow a team, how to hire, how to fire. There's nothing that we do not cover inside that program. Then after the program's done, after the initial 12-week program's done, it's an ongoing platform. It's $50 a month where you have access to me for as long as you want. You know, right? And in that $50 a month program, you guys, I've made that where $50 a month is more powerful than a $1,000 a month coaching program that you can get anywhere else. So we do 4 hours of monthly coaching at $50 a month. So you get 4 hours of live coaching. We have 2 in-person masterminds here in Phoenix, Arizona. They're every 6 months. It's a private mastermind with me and only the alumni bootcamp members that are part of the mentorship. We don't bring in guest speakers. There's nothing to sell. There's none of that crap that we all get at all these other seminars that we go to. You usually go pay $500 to a seminar and they try to sell you a bunch of shit. That's not what this is. This is hardcore masterminding. This is a hardcore mentorship, mastermind, and growth program. So if you guys want to learn more about that, www.90daymastery.com. Hope to see you guys in the program. All right, let's jump on into the interview. Hopefully you enjoy this as much as I did. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview. Every single week, we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses, you guys, that are out there dominating their space. They're choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but going out there and playing big, choosing to go out there and create an epic life and an epic business for themselves and for their families. So today, you guys, I have a special guest on. I'm really, really excited to have our guest on today, Cailen Ascher. She is an entrepreneur, coach, consultant. She helps her coaching clients find clarity, go out there and create profitable businesses. So you guys, I'm really stoked and honored to have Cailen on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks so much for having me, Josh. This is awesome to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump in. You know, I mean, our listeners are all entrepreneurs, and a lot of them are in the real estate space. And the vast majority of real estate entrepreneurs are females. And I know that's what you specialize in, is women coaching. And, you know, I'll get asked a lot of questions. I'm like, I don't really know how to answer that because I'm a guy. And I think there are different things happening internally, you know, between male entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs. So really excited to have you in and go deep in on that. But before we do that, I'm really interested on your personal story. You know, what led you into entrepreneurship and on this journey that you're on?
Oh gosh, how far back should we go? I think always intuitively on some level I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I started businesses from the time I was probably 12 on. I was always trying to figure out a way to do something that interested me and also make money at it and help other people in the process. And over the years, that has led me in a number of different directions. Ever since graduating college, I've never had a typical 9-to-5 job. I've always been trying to figure out exactly where my specialty was, where my niche was, and how to capitalize on that. And it led me in a bunch of different directions, but I kept trusting that everything I was learning along the way was going to serve a purpose later on. And so I taught yoga for a while. I worked as a copywriter. I did interior design. I mean, and everything. First of all, it taught me how to build businesses. So that was really essential. And it gave me a lot of insight into what I liked, how I liked working with people, what I didn't like. And it eventually led me to what I'm doing now, which is business clarity coaching especially for women entrepreneurs. And I love it. I love it completely. And I think without all those lessons learned along the way, I wouldn't have arrived at what I'm doing now and be as successful as I am at it.
Yeah. So those lessons, we don't usually learn from our successes, but our failures. And I hate the word failures because they're our greatest learning moments. So what were those when you were initially starting out? Because the entrepreneur failure rate is so high. What were some of those failures or greatest learning experiences that you had to overcome throughout this journey?
Yeah, I think anytime you transition, when you kind of hit a point in your business where you realize, this isn't fitting for me, I need to evolve, I need to do something different. I mean, each time, I just named a number of things I tried out over this course. I tried not to view it as a failure. I tried to view each evolution as something that was really essential along the way, and that each time I was stepping a little more clearly into what I was supposed to be doing. So I think that was really essential for me, looking at these things as evolutions, not as a stop and a failure and starting over, but just one more step along the way. And I think another thing that's not shared often enough is that whenever you see an overnight success, they're most likely 5, 8, 10 years in the making. It's just they're really hitting their stride, they're really hitting the momentum, and they're starting to show up everywhere. And so in your world, it seems like they appeared out of nowhere. They appeared overnight. But that person and their business has probably been on somebody's radar for a really long time. And it takes time. And it's necessary for it to take time, because you learn a lot of valuable stuff along the way that you need in your toolbox before you can put yourself out there in that overnight success capacity.
Yep, couldn't agree more. So, it seems from the other journeys that you had or the other businesses that you tried, it seems like you were always the teacher, the coach, from yoga to interior design. Was that intentional, or did it just kind of happen, with those? I mean, were you connecting the dots at that time, or was it just kind of a fluke deal?
I wish I could say that I did connect the dots at the time, but it's really much more in hindsight that I recognize now that, when I was doing interior design, it was all about helping people design a beautiful life and a beautiful home. And I'm now helping people design beautiful lifestyles and lifestyle businesses. And so there was always the thread coming through everything. And when you do take the time and look back, you're like, that makes sense. And so much of the yoga philosophy and just the mindset work and the meditation and my yoga practice is something that I work through with a lot of my clients. I know that mindset and meditation is a cornerstone of what has led me to where I am now and kept me really grounded in the process and having faith in the process. And so, in retrospect, there is this, beautiful beautiful that comes together with all your experiences. But when you're in the thick of it, it can feel really overwhelming and unclear and could prompt you to quit. And I think that's one of the things I've realized is that quitting is a choice. It's not something that happens to you. It's not like, you hit this point and then there's no other option but to quit. You might feel that it's time. You might feel that it's ready, that you're ready to just, move away and do something else. But quitting is really a choice. And if you choose to see it through and not view it as a failure but a learning experience, then you get to where you're supposed to be heading if you stick with it long enough.
Yep, love it. So then you transition into the coaching space. What we see, that's a very competitive, very hard business. We see most coaches that can't make it or can never get above a certain level. What was that journey like? What was that transition like? What were some of those things that you had to overcome and learn there in your own personal coaching business?
Yeah, so I wasn't always, as I've shared already, I wasn't always in that coaching space, and coaching wasn't always really on my radar. in my business, just prior to my coaching business, I was offering a lot of online products and online courses for entrepreneurs, specifically yoga entrepreneurs, helping yoga teachers build online businesses. And then I had my daughter. My husband and I, arranged things so I could take like a 4-month maternity leave, which was really beautiful. And I came back and things just weren't feeling right. I wasn't feeling the energy for my business, and it was so niched down to the yoga community that it was almost feeling stifling for me, that I wasn't allowed to reach a big enough audience and say enough of what I wanted to say. And I kind of hit this make or break point. It was honestly about a year ago. And I thought, if I am not feeling lit up by this business that's taking my time away from my brand new baby girl, I either need to figure out something else, or I need to just be a full-time mom and devote my time and energy to her. And it kind of hit me with after sitting with this for a couple weeks of really stewing with it, it hit me that what I needed was to work more intimately with my clients. And that meant expanding my reach beyond the yoga community to all women entrepreneurs and people that really are trying to build businesses that reflect their true passion, that reflect their calling, that they really feel called to do. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, coaching makes perfect sense. I want to work intimately with these people. I want to know how I can help them. And I knew that I wanted to be able to bring them the clarity that I was receiving in my own life, in my own business. That's what I was longing for all those years since I graduated college, for that 8-year journey. I was just waiting for that moment of clarity of, yes, this is the business I'm supposed to be in. These are the people I'm supposed to be working with. This is what I'm supposed to be saying and offering and doing. And I am so pleased and happy that I'm able to offer that to the people that I work with now, to give them that dose of business clarity, help them more clearly see the path that they're meant to be on. And that really, when you do that and you see your path and you have that clarity, all of your energy, all of your efforts get channeled and everything becomes so much more effective.
So when it comes down to clarity, because a lot of people, that's why your coaching business has taken off so much, because so many people struggle with that. And I know it's a lot more than that we could cover here in this short podcast, but what are some tips? Because so many people don't have that clarity. Like, they spend more time designing their grocery list than they do their life plan, right? Like what are some tips that you give your clients, or that you would give our audience, to help them go out there and find that clarity for themselves?
Yeah, completely. So I think it's really, really important to have a big vision that is pulling you forward. And my big vision, though it's shifted a little bit here or there, the way it feels and the way it pulls me has always been there. And so I think when we allow ourselves to dream really big, it might at first feel like it's distancing you. Like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get there? But the whole thing is we can't focus on the hows. We can't focus on that piece of clarity. What we need to focus on is what we're really, really going after, the vision that we have, no matter how big it may seem. And then pull back to right now and think, okay, what would feel really good to work on today, tomorrow, the next day, to help me move in that direction? I think another really important thing to think about are your strengths. Like, what are those innate strengths that you possess? And they probably come so easy to you that you think they're easy for everybody. And so really start to mine out. This is a great thing to do. Maybe reach out to 5, 10 other people, friends, family, clients, if you have them, and ask, what is the advice you always come to me for, and why? Like, what are my top 3 strengths that you see in me? And it can be a little uncomfortable if you're not used to putting yourself out there in that way, but the insight that comes back, and that was something that I did early on in my business, was I started asking other people, like, hey, what is the stuff that I do for you that you are coming to me for? And so many people said, logical advice. You help me clearly see what I need to be doing. You just make me feel clearer about everything. And I was like, this is something that I so innately am offering other people, this clarity piece that I so much thought I needed desperately, that if I had just embraced that from the get-go, because it was something that I was intuitively offering, everything would have gelled quicker. So I think getting really clear on your strengths is essential. And then thinking about who you love to work with. And not going after the money, not going after the shiny object syndrome of, oh, I think this is a great idea, I should head there, but oh, I really love working with this kind of person, and not worrying initially about how you're going to make money doing it, but just recognizing your strengths, who do you want to serve, and then things will start to fall into place around that as you move in that direction.
Yep, awesome. So, the stat is 80% of entrepreneurs fail in the first 5 years. And then year 5 to 10, 80% of those that made it in the first 5 years drop out. So, with your experience, because I know you've coached thousands of entrepreneurs, what are some of those big mistakes that you see, maybe the most common mistakes that you see, in addition to lack of clarity, that is causing them to struggle and ultimately not be able to continue their business?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that holds people back is their mindset. And so that is a huge component of the coaching that I offer. It's like, yes, we'll get to the strategic plan. We'll talk about marketing. We'll talk about your ideal clients. We'll figure all that out. But initially, we have to kind of fortify ourselves and our mindsets to be ready for success. And I think when you see people failing or quitting their businesses, it's because on some level, there's this fear that even if they do the work, they're not going to succeed. And if anyone is out there doing the work, and if you're doing the work long enough, you are going to succeed. It is inevitable. It is. It might take longer than you want, but it's going to happen. I mean, you're doing the work, you're putting in the time, you're putting your efforts behind something you believe in. The payoff is there. It might not come as quick as you want. It might not look exactly like you think it should, but it's going to start happening, and you're going to build momentum. So I honestly would say that when you see those numbers of entrepreneurs dropping off, it's not that they're trying and the universe is conspiring to make them fail at what they're trying to do. It's that they're hitting that block, they're hitting a wall, they're hitting fear, and their mindset isn't strong enough to carry them through. And when people can start wrapping their heads around that if I'm doing the work, if I believe that this is going to work out, it eventually will, I think people will stick with it a lot longer, and then they'll see the success that they've been waiting for because it's there for them.
Yep. So when it comes to, doing the work, I mean, the word hustle gets thrown around so much, and it's like the new fad word in entrepreneurship. What does that look like? I mean, how much effort does it truly take? Because when I speak to so many entrepreneurs, I'm like, well, why'd you get into this? Like, flexibility of schedule. Like, well, that may come, like you said, after that year 5 or 10. But what should people be prepped for if they're deciding, hey, is entrepreneurship right for me? I mean, how much effort does that truly take to get your business up and going?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, the old saying of, oh, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's about pacing. It's not necessarily about putting so much effort and so much time and working 80 hours a week. I mean, if that feels really good for you and that's how you work best, power to you. That is not how I work best. And honestly, my business is doing so much better now that I'm focusing on spending my time on quality things and really prioritizing my business. And I work 3 days a week. I work about 20 hours a week, and I'm serving many more people and many more clients and making a lot more money than I was when I was working 40 hours a week, because my mindset has shifted, and I don't equate money with hard work. It doesn't have to be one for one. It's not like I have to bust my ass nonstop to make an income. It's like I can channel my efforts in really strategic ways, and that is what's going to be more successful. And so I think if people are out there thinking, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy to put into this business what it needs to have, I would say it's time to reframe that and look at what time and energy you do have, and how can you use that most efficiently to put that into what you're hoping to create, and to just stick with it. I mean, that's the name of the game. Just stick to itness. Like, how ready are you to just commit yourself to this? And that's what you have to really figure out, get really clear on what you love doing, because you have to get behind it, and you have to stick with it. When obstacles come up, when things don't go like you were planning, you have to pick yourself back up, show up, and keep doing the work. And so I would really recommend finding a feel-good amount of time to work on your business rather than an oppressive, overwhelming amount of time because you think that's the only way to get there.
Yeah, awesome. So there's two questions or obstacles that I get a lot of female entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs reaching out to me for advice on, and I really can't give advice there, right? So I'm really, really interested on your take on this. So number one is, okay, hey, I want to be this entrepreneur. I have this dream of being this entrepreneur. That's my personal dream, but I'm also, I'm married, I have children, so they feel like a lot of this internal guilt because maybe they're working too much and they feel like maybe they're not there being the mom that they need to be at home. And then when they're at home and spending that family time, they have that guilt that they're not living out their dream. Is there a way to kind of balance those and have it all?
Yeah, I think there completely is, and it comes down to prioritizing the lifestyle that you want, and then setting some boundaries and parameters around that. So, like I said, for me, I'm working 3 days a week. I work Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and I have childcare for my daughter those 3 days, and then I know Friday through Monday, that's my time with her. I get to be a mom, and that means that on the days I'm working, I am closed up here in my office. I try to create as focused and energy as I possibly can on the tasks that I need to focus on. And then when I'm a mom, I do my best to not be checking my phone constantly and my emails, and creating some structure around what feels really good for me. And I think that's the most important thing for entrepreneurs, is that if you're doing this to someday have a lifestyle that will feel really, really good and easeful and abundant and have a great income and be an amazing role model for your children, you can't be stressed out and guilt-ridden and then get to that place. The journey has to align with the destination. So if you're looking to get to a place where you can run your business, just 3 or 4 days a week, or, work on it just after your kids go to bed or while they're napping or while they're at school, you have to start putting in some of those practices and some of those parameters now, and not beat yourself up about it. Not beat yourself up because, like I was saying, the journey has to align with the destination. You can't go through this feeling totally stressed out and guilt-ridden and get somewhere that feels completely amazing. It just isn't going to happen.
And one of the things that you just said there too was, hey, I'm there, I'm present. When I'm with my daughter, I'm not checking emails. And then, a lot of people have a very difficult time with that. They cannot be present. They're addicted to their cell phones. So they're never spending that quality time, whether it's on their business or with their family. Do you feel that yoga and part of yoga, I know, is a lot of meditation, is helped with that? And how do you have any advice for our listeners to help them be more present in the now? Because I know that's such a massive epidemic with this crazy self-inflicted ADD that we all have now.
Yeah, and I mean, I still fall prey to it. It's hard when the phone buzzes not to check it, but I think, well, first of all, yes, yoga and meditation definitely help me. I tend to be very linear, very focused, very driven, and so that has helped me soften those qualities, and actually in softening and kind of releasing some of that grasping energy, my business has been doing a lot better since I've worked through that. And in studying the entrepreneurs I admire, like Tony Robbins or Richard Branson or Marie Forleo, and all of them have some kind of meditative practice. And for me, I'm an early riser, so when I get up early, it's really nice. My daughter's still sleeping, my husband's still sleeping, and I, go to a quiet place and I just kind of sit with my breath, and I do a lot of visualization. I'm a very visual person. So I picture that big picture, that big vision that I was talking about earlier. And that really motivates me. That lights a fire inside of me, and it gets me excited for my day. And it's not about committing this huge amount of time to meditation. If it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if it makes you feel really good and puts you energetically in a better place for the rest of your day, I think it's that can be such strategic time. And then as you move through your day, to just, as best you can, be in the moment, celebrate all the little wins. I think that's something that's so hard, is when we are entrepreneurial, we are so forward focused that we can breeze by things that are kind of amazing that are happening in the day to day. For me, getting a client, I could be oh, great, okay, new client, check that off, on to the next. But when I pause and actually celebrate, oh my God, I just got a new client. This is amazing. This woman wants to work with me. She's investing her money, her time, her energy into this process. That is so awesome. And I get to do what I love doing thanks to her. And just taking a couple minutes to pull yourself back into what's happening right here and now and what's going well right now, I think it just sets you up for seeing more and more things in your life that are making you happy and making your business better, and also setting you up for better and greater success in the future when you pull yourself back into the moment.
Yeah, love it. So, I was in Seattle recently speaking at an event, and then afterwards we had this private dinner with a lot of other entrepreneurs, and I was talking with several women entrepreneurs that were there, successful women entrepreneurs. I'm like, what do you guys find your biggest obstacle, your biggest challenge to be? And they said it was really being taken serious in the business world as a female entrepreneur. And, it's 2016. I wouldn't think that would exist, but from some of the feedback I get from female entrepreneurs, it does exist, that stigma, that maybe the business world is more for men, not women. What are some things and some advice if you have clients that are encountering that on how to overcome that?
Yeah, oh, that's a great question. And yes, first of all, I do think that's really, really prevalent, that I think there's this sense that it's not legit, especially when you're just starting out. It's so hard to own with confidence what you're doing when you're in those initial stages. What I love to do and what I love to encourage my clients to do is imagine their business 2 years, 5 years, whatever amount of time makes them feel like, oh, I'll be really, really doing it then. I'll be hitting my stride. I'll be making lots of money. I'll be, in my zone. And imagine how you would conduct business, how you would speak about your business, who you would reach out to, what kind of things you would offer your community, your clients, what kind of experiences would you invest in for yourself. And just have some fun, just picture what that could be like. Maybe write a list down of things like, oh, I would totally reach out to this person. I would, pitch this podcast to be on, that maybe you're like, oh, I'm not big enough yet. I shouldn't reach out to him and try to get on that show. And see what kind of scares you but excites you, and start doing it. Stop getting in your own way. Start acting as if, how would you act if you were already successful? And do as best you can to start functioning in that way on a day-to-day basis. And maybe it just means doing one small thing each day. Sending an email to someone, investing in a course or a coach that you've been eyeing for a while, taking some kind of training, going to a workshop, going on a retreat, going to a seminar, whatever it is that you think that future you would be doing and investing in and prioritizing, start incorporating more and more of those things into the day-to-day. And before you know it, you're going to be that person that you were envisioning, because those things will just be daily practices for you.
Yeah. So do you think that is a reality that exists in the marketplace, or do you think it's more of just limiting beliefs that we place on ourselves and our mind?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that there is some pushback, and I felt this not just as a woman, but as an online entrepreneur, that especially a couple years ago when my business was happening but not really happening yet, and it was probably a lot of the energy I was bringing into the conversations, to be quite honest, but I would feel from friends or from people that I had just met, when I would say what I'm doing or describe my business, I'd kind of get this quizzical look, like, really? That's what you're doing? You're an online entrepreneur and you're working with people from all around the world and you're coaching them? Like, people really do that? And yeah, it can be hard in those moments, but I think deep down, if you're an entrepreneur and you're on this path, as long as you have that tiny grain of belief in yourself, that tiny seed, and you keep moving forward with the faith that things are going to work out, and you keep doing the work and you keep showing up, it's going to grow. That confidence is going to grow, and you're going to get to a place where you can so confidently own what you're doing, and people are going to be astounded by the success you've created for yourself. So if you're at the point where you're still throwing in caveats like, oh, I have an online business, or I'm an entrepreneur, but, and you keep shortchanging yourself, just know that if you keep putting yourself out there as confidently as you possibly can, you're going to hit a point and you're going to hit your stride where you are so going to own what you're going to do. And everyone who you feel like they're doubting you or judging you right now, they're going to be amazed by what you've accomplished.
Love it. So what do you feel the importance of having a mentor is when you're growing your business and just really in life? I mean, how do you feel about that?
I think it's so important to have people that are ahead of you that you can learn from. I mean, why why go through all the obstacles yourself when maybe you can streamline the path a little bit by learning from some of the obstacles other people hit and working your way around them. I think it's so key, and it doesn't have to necessarily be working with a coach. It took me a while actually to invest in my own coach because I didn't know exactly what I needed out of coaching. But I've always been in a place where I'm a lifelong learner, so I've always been investing in online courses and summits and masterminds and things like that. Of surrounding myself by like-minded people that really believe in the spirit of entrepreneurship and believe that it is possible to be an entrepreneur and be really successful at being an entrepreneur, and to learn from what's going on and get that feedback. We all come at life with our own perspective and our own lens through which we're seeing things. And when you have someone or some people in your life that you can bounce your ideas off of and run your ideas by and get feedback from, it's so invaluable. And it's just nice to be in community, like have people that support you, get what you're doing, like understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur and kind of rationalize the highs and the lows and give you some kind of give you pep talks when you need it and bring you down to earth when you kind of run off in a weird direction. And I think it's so necessary to know that you're not alone and you don't have to be alone when you're doing this entrepreneurial thing.
Yep, love it. So where can our listeners, where's the best place, Cailen, to go learn more about you? And I know you have a lot of a lot of free content out there too. If maybe they're not in a place where they're quite ready for coaching or a mentor, maybe they can't afford it quite yet. Or if they do want to reach out to you and learn more about doing some one-on-one coaching with you and working with you personally, where's the best place to go to learn more about you?
Sure, of course. So my website, CailenAscher.com. I'm sure you'll have a link and everything.
Yep.
My name's kind of a weird spelling. So yeah, my website is the best place to find me. And I have, like you said, lots of free content. I have a blog I publish every week. I have a free training there. It outlines my story of how I went from making no money to making 6K months, and then upwards from there to multiple 5-figure months. And there's a lot of good content there to check out that I think would be really helpful.
Yep, love it. So we find in life that good can become very easily the worst enemy of greatness. It's so easy to get to the point where things are good enough, we get comfortable and just start coasting. What do you do personally to ensure that you're not settling for good enough, that you keep leveling up, keep growing, and keep striving for greatness?
I make sure that I seek out inspiration, because I find that when like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. So when I'm consuming, when I'm learning, when I'm reading and taking courses, I tap into the most inspired, creative, fresh ideas that I possibly have. And I think a lot of us hit a point where we're kind of like, oh, is this important? Like working through this course, working through this program, attending this event, that's just taking me away from my business. Like, is this really valuable? And for me, I know that so is. Like, I need to keep experiencing new ideas in order to come up with original, creative ideas of my own. And so to see what form that takes for you, but I think allowing yourself inspiration and intaking new ideas and networking, like outreach to other people and seeing what they're doing in the world is really key to stay fresh and cutting edge of what's going on in your industry.
Yeah, awesome. So let's say something happens and you financially lose everything. Your health's good, family's good, all that's good. You've retained everything that you learned over all these years through your journey, through your entrepreneurship, through all of your training. What are the first few things that you'd immediately do on a limited to no budget to go out there and rebuild your business?
So I think at the ground floor, I'd start networking. I'd outreach to other women, other people in like-minded businesses and who are doing really cool things, and probably initially just see how I could support them. And in so doing, start growing my own community, gaining my own leverage, again, exposing myself to those new cutting edge ideas and to come up with some new inspired ideas of my own about how I could reformulate, recalibrate, get myself out there in a bigger, better way. And And I think our network is so very important. And when you have people that aren't just in your community, your clients that you're serving, but also your peers and maybe a few steps ahead of you, that those are the people that can really bring in the big opportunities. And so I think I would start there and reach out to those other entrepreneurs and see how we can collaborate and make something awesome together.
Awesome. So what is, I know you do a lot of these interviews. What is like the one question, whether you're on a podcast or some type of an interview, that nobody ever asks you, that you wish they would ask you, that you think it would be important for them to ask you, but they don't?
Oh, wow. That is an awesome question. I think a lot of people, they don't ask, and we touched on it briefly, what my mindset practices really consist of. Because I speak very openly that when I started doing mindset work, it basically quadrupled my business. I went from making like $6K a month, and then I had my first $23K month, and I had a $30K launch, and it was like things just catapulted from there when I unlocked those mindset practices and started committing to them on a daily basis.
Okay, so then with the follow-up to that then is, give us an idea of what that looks like then.
Sure, of course. So my morning, I said it starts with meditation, normally 10 to 20 minutes. And what I like to really focus on is the feeling of success for me. And success feels like abundant and expansive and all this really good stuff. So I focus on those kinds of feelings, picture what that would look like, have a lot of fun, just kind of daydreaming about where my business is heading, what our lifestyle will look like when it gets there, all that really awesome stuff. Then I always work out in the morning. And so I love listening to, instead of, my tunes for like getting my run on faster, I'd like to listen to interviews like this or other podcasts that have really inspiring content, or audiobooks about mindset or wealth consciousness, so that I get vibing in that really good place. And I find that pairing of like physical movement, exercise with that intake of inspiration, that's one of those moments when ideas get unlocked. And all of a sudden I'll have this aha of like, oh my God, I need to develop this group program around this topic and launch it here and do this and collaborate with this person. And these ideas will just pour out of me. Throughout the day, I do my best to walk my talk. So I try really hard to stay really positive about what's going on in my business, no matter what is unfolding. Even if it seems like an obstacle, I try to learn from it. Like I said, I stop and I celebrate those wins, no matter how small or how big. That, if I have an awesome launch, like my husband and I will go away for the weekend, or we'll get a bottle of Dom Perignon, celebrate, and to really keep acknowledging those really good things, because when you acknowledge the good things, I think more good things come in. And then the end of the day often concludes with reading personal development books, stuff, like I said, about wealth consciousness, and sometimes journaling, sometimes listening to a guided meditation or something like that before bed. So I'm kind of bookending my days with feeling really good and feeling really good. And I find that momentum that I've built has really been very, very helpful.
Oh, awesome stuff. So I created this podcast, like most that have a podcast, to go out there and you talked about it, walking the talk. Well, there's so many gurus that operate from this massive place of theory. And I got fed up with it. I'm like, let me create a space where we can go out there and just talk to the doers. People like yourself that are in the trenches, that have overcome adversity, that have built epic businesses, and get that information, deliver that information out there to other aspiring entrepreneurs. So with that being said, our listener base are entrepreneurs. About 85% of them are millennials, so young entrepreneurs that are trying to get out there and get in the space and make epic business and epic life for themselves. So with that being said, do you have any last words of advice, inspiration, or motivation that you'd like to leave them with, so they can go out there and create an amazing business and an amazing life like you've been able to do?
Yeah, I think it's so very important to remember, and I said it earlier, was that the journey, this entrepreneurial journey that you're on, has to align with the destination, that success that you're after. So you, as best you can, have to walk the talk, act as if every single day, like feel really, really good about what you're creating, no matter how small it may seem right now and how big you want it to be. Just keep showing up, keep doing the work, and speak about it with confidence as best that you can. And you are going to evolve into that person. You're going to create that business that you were envisioning, because you're leaving no other option. If you're showing up and you're doing the work and you're putting yourself out there, if you stick with it, it's going to happen. It is happening by you doing it. It's playing out just as you need. And that's something I wish I had received earlier on, is that if you commit, it is going to happen. And so just keep remembering that. If you keep showing up, it's going to happen for you. And there are people out there who have done it, and you've seen them, and you probably admire them and wish you could be them. But the fact that they're doing it means that it's proven and it's possible for you too.
Yeah, love it. Powerful words. And to those of you watching or listening, I know we end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is really just the start of delusion. Information is not power. It's taking that information, taking action on it, implementing it, that then creates power in your world, right? So you guys heard so much amazing information on this podcast. Take something Cailen shared with you, implement, take action on it right away, so then that you can go out there and create that business and life that you know you want and you deserve. Also, go right now, whether you're listening or watching, Cailen's link to her website is right below. So click on the link, go check out more information, more of her trainings that she has. Take action, do that right now. And I really appreciate you guys listening. And Cailen, thank you so much for being here. I know how busy you are. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here. It's been a massive, massive honor, and we really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, you guys, we will see you next time.